Hello, my name's Hector Velazquez and welcome to another episode of GCSAA Inside the Shop. We're continuing on the cutting unit series, and in this episode we're going to be talking about the bed bar and the bed knife of the cutting unit and best practices on how to maintain your bed bar. Now that we got this mounted, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's go over the Bedbar Bedknife Assembly. Now the bed bar is a big part of the reel as it helps support structural wise. This is the bed bar. Then we have the bed knife. Then we have the pivot bolts that hold the bed bar in the frame. And then we got the bed knife screws that hold the bed knife onto the bed bar. Now let's take a closer look at this bed knife. Here we have the front face of the bed knife. Then we have the top face. And right behind the top face, we're going to find a Bedknife Scallop.
My name is Wyatt Harris, and I'm one of the equipment technicians here at the Four Seasons Golf and Sport Club Orlando.
All right, now I'm going to use this Bedknife screw tool to remove my old screws from the bed bar. Now it's important to note that you would want to discard any old screws and start off with new ones. All right, now how do we know when it's time to replace our bed knife? Well, the quickest and easiest way is going to be if your top face is flush with the Bedknife Scallop, then you know it's time. And not to mention, it's just time. How do you go about cleaning the top part of your bed bar?
3M Roll-Lock, it's not going to damage it, just get the rust off. After I clean it off with that, lately I've been using like Penetro 90, like a penetrating lube. Just do a thin film. I never put a knife on dry. I like to have some lubricant in there, reduce corrosion and seizing of the screws.
All right, so using the Roll-Lock is definitely a great idea. This is basically a plastic bristles that has wires embedded into it, and it's actually meant for aluminum. But it does an awesome job at cleaning the surface of the bed bar. It does not scratch or remove any materials. Now I like to take it a step further. I like using a bed bar stone. And here's a smooth side, and then we got a more aggressive side. And what I like to do is just spray it down with some kind of penetrant or an oil. And then I start gliding the stone across the surface of the bed bar. This will help remove any burrs or knock out any high spots and smooth out that surface and kind of like hone it. And then I'll take the polishing side or the finer side and give it a few passes. Now, if you notice, these bed bars are not exactly flat. Okay, so that's going to distort our bed knife when we install that. I like to run the stone across the mating surface of the bed knife. And again, that's just in case there's any burr. Now, how do you go about installing your bed knife?
First of all, I'm torquing the bed knife screws to specification. I really think that's the most important part. You want to tighten bed knife screws to the torque spec recommended by the manufacturer. I think so that you get, consistent clamping force, so it reduces distortion. I'll start on the ends and just kind of get the end screws finger tight. And then I'll start the process of starting in the center screw and going out alternating sides. If one of them's out of line, reduces the chances of distortion happening.
Now I like to start off by first putting in all my screws, and then I'll hand tighten in the same order or orientation that I'm going to torque it down in. And then I like to torque down my screws. Now be sure to check your manufacturer specifications for torque. But with this one, it's 10 inch-pounds on the middle. Then I do the outside ones, and then I'll reset my torque wrench to 200 inch-pounds and start in the middle and start making my way to the outside. And now we're ready to get this knife trued up on the grinder. I want to thank Wyatt Harris for participating in this episode. I really appreciate your knowledge and wisdom, buddy. Thank you so much. And I want to thank you for joining us here today on GCSAA Inside the Shop, where we're helping technicians one wrench at a time.